Alrighty, I'm gonna preface this video by saying that the gameplay you see is me playing the 100 Hardcore challenge, so I am going to be playing a bit more slowly than I'm used to. I also haven't played RSG in a while, so saying that I'm a bit washed here is pretty accurate, so that's my excuse if you see me do anything a little bit silly in the footage you're seeing. Now, at the time of recording this, it is October 1st, 2023. The current world record is 7:45 by Xylonox. I'm making this video just for fun, just to predict how Minecraft speedrunning will change in the next few years, and just to see if I'm right, because already from a few years ago, you can tell it's changed drastically. I don't know if Duke's world record was set at this time last year, or not at this point, or if it was still saggy. But 2 years ago, Calc wasn't legalized yet, and Brentilda's run was still reigning supreme. So we can tell easily that's changed so much from now. But I'm gonna discuss what strats I think will pop up, what will be better, what will be worse. Just a little fun prediction. We'll see if I'm right or not. And yeah, this is just for fun. I'd like to know what you think will happen in the next few years in terms of Minecraft speedrunning. If you agree or disagree with my opinions. This whole video isn't meant to be taken seriously, just a few predictions for fun, and I can look back on this maybe in a few years once it's properly developed, and I'll see if I'm right or not. So without further ado, let's get started on one of the biggest issues, or I guess this is kind of a controversial thing, I suppose, but in terms of resetting and reset efficiency, because when you hear that you think, oh, multi-instance, which yeah, multi-instance, I know a lot of people don't like it, and I'm just gonna say right away that as a concept it sucks. Just the fact that the hardware gap exists and that some people are just unable to get as good times as others simply because of hardware gap, which most of the time you just straight up can't control. There's a lot of people who are simply don't have enough money or time to put into this as others do, and are therefore punished by single instance or low instance counts or whatever. I think multi-instancing and multi-instancing is just gonna, and the use of the wall is only gonna get better. Instance counts I feel like are only gonna go up. There's gonna be more programs to reset more. Ideally, in a perfect world, there's gonna be something for single instance. Probably I have no knowledge of this, but I know some people are pushing for legalizing chunk mod. Ideally that happens, but I think what will be the case is just you'll see more and more instances, more and more mods, maybe, depending on what gets legalized or what doesn't. Minecraft, for those who are unfamiliar with it, is a very reset-heavy game. Most of the time you don't even tab into a seed, you just see that it's bad, and you reset it. In terms of the current mods, or that being performance mods, I do not know what, if anything's going to get banned. I know that, let's face it, Calc has pretty much imprinted this too much to get banned. World Preview is not going to get banned. Oh my god, this is embarrassing. I tried jumping on this roof 3 times before I succeed. Anyways, I don't really think anything is going to be getting banned. I know a lot of people do not like that Calc was legalized, and still after this day, after seeing a bunch of notable runs become obsolete really quickly, and just Calc in general. I'm not going to get into it too much in this, but I do not think Calc is ever getting banned. What else in terms of actual gameplay? Now, stopping talking about all the non-Minecraft stuff, I guess. In terms of resetting, I think, for the most part, in the near future, people are still going to reset for ocean spawns. Buried treasures are the best structures in the game for speedrunning, arguably, in the overworld. And I feel like, at least for the near future, people are still going to be resetting for them. You can get very fast enters. I know that No Fear got the world record nether enter with BT plus Ruin Portal recently. And I guess it would have been just a little bit slower if it was a lava pool, because I think he got flint from the chest. Anyways. Buried Treasure's good. People who are going to go for world record, you can still world record pretty easily with Buried Treasure at this time. No doubt in anyone's mind. What's the fastest realistic time you think you can get? Just thinking about splits. Probably ideally just like a low 4 or sub 4 blind. And that's another thing I think will happen, is that I think in 2 years' time, like by the end of 2025, we will see our first sub 4 blind and sub 6 and enter. I'm not sure if they'll be in the same run or not, but I feel like those things are pretty good. I mean, like, pretty realistic to happen in 2 years. I'm sorry if I'm messing up with my vocabulary or my wording or anything. I don't have a script. I'm just reading things off the top of my head, pretty much. But back to Buried Treasures. Buried Treasures are really good. You can enter the nether really fast. I'm thinking in the, a world record run in the near future, I think what will happen will pretty much be a textbook run where there's anywhere from like a 620 to a 645 and enter, and then they just use 0 cycle, and then it's just anywhere from low 7 to just barely beating the world record. That's what I think is going to happen in the near future. We've had several paces which could have beaten, I guess several, I'm just talking about Duke and Camo, and enters with 0, and for one reason or another, they did not end up faster than Xylonox's run. Now, for the near future, probably not as far as I think, because I do think Xy's world record will stand for a while. There's been less than like 12 end enters that have been on pace to beat him, which is kind of crazy. But that's what I think the next world record will be. I think it will be probably somewhere from like a 7-1x to a 7-4x. And it's just going to be in 6 end enter with 0. And it's just going to hit. That's my prediction for what the next world record would be. But now, thinking long term, I feel like sub 4 blind is realistic. The ARSG mod, which people have been using, that I can't say it's accurate for RSG, because it's pretty much just like RSG on steroids. I shouldn't even say that. It's pretty much like Pogworld and Pogloot together, pretty much, but like less zooted, is what I should say. I don't have too much knowledge on it. I probably shouldn't speak on it. Anyways, and so times in there aren't even comparable to standard RSG, because I know that someone has a 4x exporter. Anyways, in terms of limits of RSG, sub 7. You can probably equate that to just sub 6 end enter, which I think is pretty, I think a sub 6 end enter is doable in 2 years. Sub 7 is gonna be absolutely nuts. Sub 7 is probably, I think, possible. Do I think it's gonna happen in 2 years? No. Yeah, I guess it can hit while resetting for BTs, but you know what? Yeah, I think it's possible, and I think someone will achieve it. I'm not sure when. I don't think it's going to be in 2 years. You just need everything to be perfect, pretty much. That run. The people who say like, oh, sub 5 RSG is possible. No, it's not. Just stop lying to yourself. It's just not going to happen. Sub 6. Not gonna happen. I feel like the lowest RSG could ever realistically get is maybe a 6XX. I think. I don't think, something that I don't want to see is I never want to see a world record which just has a stronghold blind, because I feel like that would be really lame. I mean, like, even if it is just 100 ocean, I feel like that's better than just hitting the portal room or just hitting one room away from the portal room. Or even just like the most juiced out 20 obby split sub 40 that you've ever seen. You just throw one pearl, you're on the cords after doing one eye and it breaks or something, which I will get to later. I do think a very zooted run like that can happen. Do I think it's going to happen? Maybe. I do think sub 7 will happen eventually. This is like sub 630. I feel like that's way too, I feel like sub 630 is just way too insane to even, like, begin to think about. I think the limit is low 6, pretty much. The realistic human limit. I do not think we will get a sub 6 RSG ever. There's like a difference between is it possible, which I mean, like, yes, I guess if you combine everything and everything works perfect, it's doable. And I just hate people who say that, like, oh, just roll the set seed in random seed, when it's just clearly not a rollable seed in there. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but that just annoys me so much when you're like, hey, just roll this seed or something, when it's clearly just a seed that's just not rollable in RSG. And even if you did, it's not necessarily random because you know the seed, which is just BS. I'm going to stop. Yeah, just because something is possible doesn't mean it's necessarily going to happen. I remember I played this treasure weird. I probably could have played it better. I just got worried because of those pigs and decided to just drain the lava on this part. I'm just watching this. Okay. Now, buried treasure. Going back to the overworld. I feel like buried treasures will be continued to play for the foreseeable future. In like the end game where people are trying to go for like a sub 630, I think that we may begin to see a ruin portal meta. Now, completable ruin portals are really rare. You can see them in ranked seeds, and I guess in FSG as well, but FSG is just... I don't think any of the FSG seeds are rollable in RSG, but I could be mistaken. I don't know too much about it. I don't think we'll ever see an FSG style world record run in RSG. I feel like that would be just too absurd. But resetting for completable ruin portals, I think some people may try it. The charm with ruin portals is that you're able to enter the nether really fast, and that's pretty much all they have going for it. With mapless, you're able to enter low 1 on good seeds. I guess, yeah, sub-minute on really, really good seeds, but you can't enter reliably. You can enter low 1 pretty reliably from top runners, from what I can tell. If I'm wrong, you can correct me on this. I forgot to mention, right now, I'm a 10xx runner, by no means a top runner. I'd say at best, I'm an intermediate level runner, and so I'm by no means a top runner, no means like capable of getting like, I'm not gonna say that, yeah, but what I'm saying is, I'd say I do have a pretty good knowledge of the game and how it works and how top runners play, but I am not a top runner. And again, this is just my predictions. So, back to talking about ruin portals. Now, why ruin portals are good is obviously you can enter quickly. And if you get an insane amount of stuff, like the stuff you expect to get from FSG, or maybe even ranked, then they're insane. Because you're able to enter at like 40 seconds with enough iron for an iron pick and golden carrots. That's obviously not the case. And to even get like an enter, you need so many more resets. And then again, you're always not guaranteeing yourself food, and you're not always guaranteeing yourself blocks, because that's one of the good things about buried treasures, is that most of the time, you're able to get TNT and just a stack of blocks, and it just always makes another faster. And then, if you don't get TNT, you can get shears, and then that always makes the nether faster. And if not, then, oh, you probably have enough for a golden axe, so you can mine wood insanely fast. So even if it doesn't, like, speed it up by any margin, then, it still is better than having, like, 20. Being able to have, like, 35 wood. I Shouldn't really, like, mention that. Just forget what I said about the gold axe stuff. I don't know how much wood people usually get in runs for top runners. Wow, doing a great job at establishing ethos here. Yeah, just forget what I said. Okay. My point is, with buried treasure, more often than not, you are going to have blocks entering the nether. With ruined portal, yeah, I guess you could have a silk touch hoe. Yeah, I guess you could have an efficiency 3 shovel. Yeah, I guess you could have an unbreaking 3 pickaxe and just mine the netherrack. My point is that it's still pretty slow. With shears, you can spend like a few seconds getting leaves and overlap it by mining them, and you're still able to get close to a stack of shears optionally without losing like much time at all. And for TNT, it's just an insane time save because you just get all your wood, all your blocks, everything easy. And that's why buried treasures are so good, just because of that TNT as well as all the other benefits it has as well. About the other structures, shipwreck can maybe work just the same as buried treasure except worse. Buried treasure will always be better than shipwreck. Now, in terms of, well, I guess even if you do have a half ship and you enter pretty quickly, your enter quality is dog shit because you're getting iron and nothing else. So even if you do get like shears and iron doors and iron bars and stuff, you don't have any food and you're probably going to get less wood. So it doesn't matter at all. TDLR, shipwrecks are bad. Also, a side note, I have no idea how I didn't see this spawner before in this run, which is kind of crazy. I thought I completely saw it, but I was looking down those hallways for them. Guess it's just me being silly. Anyways, now villages. Now blacksmiths, yes. I guess I'll talk about blacksmiths later, but my point is ruined portals, we may see a point where people are resetting for completable ruined portals. I would hate to reset for those, but we may see some people be bold enough to try that. I do think buried treasures are the best. I think if you're a top runner, or even if you're planning on being a top runner, you should always play buried treasures for PB. For anything under, I'd say, sub 11. You should probably exclusively play ET, unless if you see like a shipwreck off-world preview or a blacksmith off-world preview. And I know that there's some top runners who even just reset blacksmiths off the rip, which I would have given in. I would have checked blacksmith if I saw one. Anyways, about ruined portals. And one of the good things about ruined portals is looting sword. Looting sword is pretty unrealistic. Yeah, it can happen, but then again, you're not able to consistently get, like, a looting sword. Now, I don't know how often it feels like you get one. I feel like once a month I get, like, a looting seed. And then it just sucks, because then the ruined portal isn't enterable, or it is enterable, and then there's a bastion in, like, 24 chunks, and the terrain sucks, so it takes you 4 minutes to get there, and then the run is pretty much dead, because by that point you just want to be in the fortress. The bastion's slow because you don't have an iron pick. You pretty much get what I mean. If you want it to be fast, you pretty much need everything to work out. And most of the time, everything doesn't work out. So, I guess for the fast runs, you need it to work out, and that's what's going to be very annoying to reset for, because most of the time it's just not a possibility. And yeah, there are a few fast runs with ruined portals, which I want to point out. That being Doog and Megalee's sub-9s. I think it was Doog's first sub-9, and Megalee got an 8.3x or an 8.4x, I think. And those are the two fast runs with ruined portal. Anyways, I think I'll talk about villages now. And specifically blacksmiths, because there's no reason to play a village other than a blacksmith. Now, the main charm of blacksmiths is being able to enter really, really fast. And also, I guess, maybe beds for 0. Otherwise, villages aren't great, because odds are you just don't get enough obby. You're better off checking a beach for a BT than a blacksmith for obby, in my opinion. Or maybe just a village for a blacksmith for obsidian, in my opinion. But the charm is 20 obby. Now, the reason for that is, for classic. Now, I do think a juiced out classic run is possible, but the RNG to get that over just a fast RSG run would be insane. The reason why classic is so good is because, oh, I do an embarrassing play here. What am I doing? Oh my goodness gracious. But the reason why blacksmiths could work for an insanely fast run is you have 20 obby from a blacksmith, and you're able to get in the nether really quickly. And the idea is, you do not use a bastion, you trade gold with the piglins, and ideally while you're trading, you're killing blazes. So you're able to overlap both splits, and then you're able to measure, go to the stronghold, and I'm assuming you just home portal, or you just send the blind and get a very good end game. And then, you pretty much get an insane run. That's the idea. You just enter sub-minute, and then you win, pretty much. Now, I do think a juiced out classic seed is possible, but if you've played something that requires getting pearl trades, you will know that how painful it is, that even if you do get the seed, you're just not going to get the trades. Bastions will always be good, and I think they will always be used. I do not think we are ever going to see a world record with classic. Just because bastions are good, because you're able to trade so much gold with so many pigs, and even then in bastions you get rolled sometimes, which is really annoying. But most of the time in bastions you just never get rolled, which is pretty hype. And another thing is that even the fastest bastion splits are less than a minute. Manhunt housing, you're in, you're out. And then you have everything. 0 mats, pearls, 20 obby, fire res, boom. And with classic, you're waiting for like maybe at most 3 or 4 pigs to trade, and then sorry, I forgot what I was talking about. You're just throwing gold at 3 different pigs to trade, and they take like a long time to trade. I'm gonna look it up real quick. How long does it take piglins to trade? Because I actually do not know. 6 seconds in Java Edition. Okay, that's not that bad as I thought. But you're still waiting 6 seconds, which is pretty nuts. And ideally for a run like this, you'd want 2 pearl trades, which the odds of that are pretty insane. To get both pearl trades and have them be a pearl trades. Which, before anyone mentions nice twice, shut up. So, resetting for that with a speed going for world record, it's just not going to happen. Now, when I say world record, I'm mentioning like a future world record. Classic for world record now is probably much more realistic than going for like a sub-6 run with classic, which again will never happen to any classic believers out there. I genuinely think like classic believers are just they're probably like masochists, the way that how much resetting is required to get like a single pace of that. I just genuinely believe it will never happen. So I'm sorry to any believers, classic is not a thing. Same thing as monument. Monument's not going to be a thing. End of discussion. No more exaggeration. Refuses to. I'm not going to explain myself anymore. There's no more, there's going to be no monuments. I got messed up on my words a lot there. That was pretty embarrassing. Now, yeah, that goes on to my point in the Nether, is that people are always going to be playing for bastions, and specifically, manhunt housing. I believe that, I guess now, bastions can set, probably any type of bastion can set a world record, but in the future, it will have to be manhunt housing, or maybe something like single, triple, stables, or maybe even a fast treasure. And that's pretty much it. Nothing else is. Bridge for world record could probably work, but for the ideal world record that we're discussing, like in several years' time, bridge is just not viable at all for world record. It is unfortunately just too slow. The reason why Manhunt Housing is so good is you're able to get a ton of pigs really fast and you're able to overlap trades while mining gold to them. That's why housing is so good. That's why it's been used in the past, like, few world records. I know that Saggy and Brent did top down. And if you mentioned Cube was literally the first good run with Calc, which I'm just kidding. It was a really good run. That's why I got world record for this time. Anyways, hey, it's still like a low 9, which is still really good for today's standards. So I should give it much more credit than I am. Anyways, that's pretty much it for Bastions. People are going to be resetting for I guess people will be resetting for any Bastions, but obviously it's just not going to be as good as Manhunt Housing if it's anything other than that. And another thing is 20 Obsidian. I know that some people say that, like, I remember hearing someone say back when, before Calc was meta, is that, damn, I hope that, this was back when, calculated travel was meta, after all the Floby stuff, maybe when Axis was being made, I have no idea. But I remember someone saying that, that someone's just gonna get, like, an insane single travel run and it's gonna kill double travel. Because everyone would get in, get out, and then they'd be, like, less than 200 blocks away from the stronghold. Then Cal came on, and then everyone's just hitting the stronghold. So, I'm thinking that 20 obby is still viable. It is still insanely viable, and I do not think 20 obby will never not be viable. For a specific reason, and that being One Eye or Bowtie. Now, I think we already see Bowtie everywhere. I don't know if there's any, like, verified runs with it yet. And I assume it's legal, which correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know why people would do it otherwise, but I assume it's legal. I don't know if it's gonna get banned. I know some people want it banned. I think it's pretty cool, even though you have to change a million things, and some people just straight up can't use it. But I think it's cool. So what it does is that Bowtie or One Eye, I guess I'm coupling them in together. You basically save the need of throwing an extra Ender Eye, and this saves like 10 seconds over 2 Eye, but it also saves like a 24, I think it is, % chance of getting a second eye break, because with 1 Eye you have an 80% chance you get no breaks, with 2 Eye you get a 64% chance you get no breaks, and that's a 36% chance when you throw 2 Eyes, you'll get at least one of them being broken, pretty much, is what I'm trying to say. I think Bowtie will be everywhere in the near future. In the next 2 years, I feel like it's just way too good of a strategy. I feel like some people will still use, like, non-Bowtie, and yeah, I guess, 1 Eye just saves, time over it, and, yeah, just for those reasons, like, if you're on an ocean and you throw 2 Eyes, you need to go back up and get them, you're losing, like, much more than 10 seconds over someone just doing plain old Bowtie. Now, in terms of, what was I gonna say? That's pretty much all I have to say for Bowtie. I just think it will be everywhere. There's not much more to go deep into it. I do think the next world record will use Bowtie, is another thing I want to mention. And, what else? Yeah, the Nether. Blaze Rods, I do think we will be seeing more people leave on 5. I know that No Fear, I think, does it. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know many other runners do it. I know that a lot of people are a big fan of leaving on 5. And I think we will be seeing more of it. And yes, there will be paces lost to, like, not enough eyes in the portal room. That has happened before. It will happen again. It's inevitable. But, I am not sure. I don't know about leaving on 4. I do not think, because leaving on 5, there's a 28, I believe it is, % chance that there is at least 2 eyes in the portal frame, which is about 1 in 4. which some people are definitely comfortable with rolling those odds. And even with 1 eye, it's still like around 3 and 4, which is, or at least 1 eye is 3 and 4, which is pretty good. Now, and there's even just like a higher chance of there being a 1 eye than there being a 0 eye. But I think that people, we're talking about leaving on 4 eyes. I don't think people will ever start going for that, only because the chance of a 4 eye is 1 in 12. I do think we'll see people doing first pearl early. I do not think we're ever going to see people start leaving on 4, maybe ever, probably. Because I think like someone leaving on 4, even on like insane pace, is just crazy to me. So, yeah, we're never going to see that. Post-blind splits is probably just going to be close ocean exposed, just like the average FSG blind, and then 20 obby with insane terrain is pretty much what I think is going to happen. You're able to get really good post-blind splits. I have no idea what I was trying to say there. You're able to get really good post-blind splits with the combination of 1 eye plus good nether terrain. I remember I got it in 1 run, and it was like 49 seconds, and it was pretty crazy. But you're able to get even faster than that. And I think that's just good. That's just what's going to happen in the next world record. You're just going to pearl once or pearl twice, and you're going to be on the cords, and you can build a portal. And after doing boat eye, all the time adds up, and maybe 10 seconds, and people will be like, oh, 10 seconds is nothing. I almost died to the golem there. 10 seconds is nothing, but no, 10 seconds is something. What am I talking about? Okay, I should really script these videos, but I am too lazy to, so I just speak about whatever is on my mind. End fight. I do think there's probably going to be some changes in nav. I know that some people are doing preemptive wiggle, but I don't see how that's different from like knowing your numbers. In terms of the end fights, I feel like just 1 cycle versus 0 cycle is going to stay the same. Insta-perch is obviously just, like, the fastest insta-perch is, I think, faster than the... No, what am I talking about? The fastest 0 cycle with all the optimizations 100% faster than the fastest insta-perch. But, there will be people playing for perch, there will be people playing for, 0 cycle. Obviously, 0 cycle's like the consistency play, because you need to set up for it. The 1 cycle, you can just craft your beds in the end, whereas 0 cycle, they need to be pre-crafted. I don't know if we'll see people crafting beds in the end while they're like overlapping pearl throws. If so, that would be insane. But I do not think we're ever going to see that. And in terms of ground 0, I'm not sure. I don't really think we're going to see it, just because it's worse than both 1 cycle and 0 cycle. It is, again, very recent, so I could be wrong, but I don't think we're going to see much of it at all. We might see it in ranked. I don't know how much ranked will change in between then. Probably not at all, honestly, just because people have been resetting map lists for a while now, and are pretty used to it. Pretty used to the current meta, that is. Anyways. Now, what else is there to discuss? That's pretty much it, right? I talked about Overworlds, talked about Nether, talked about, another thing. I guess I didn't talk about the Nether too much. I talked about Bastions, didn't really talk about, Forts. I think going into the Nether, people will reset on lower and lower RD. I know that, like, I believe Dougal was on 13 RD entering the Nether. Could be wrong about that, but that's what I remember. And I know that some people already set on 2 RD for mapless, just so the chest is closer, which is kind of insane. I reset on 5 RD for mapless. Some people resetting on 2 is pretty crazy to me. I guess resetting on lower RD isn't too bad. But in the Nether, I feel like there will be people resetting on lower and lower RD for Bastions. I do not think we will see anyone go lower than 10 RD in the Nether, just because straight terrain to a Bastion is really close. Even on 16, getting straight terrain to a Bastion super easy. It's just really fast. Because good terrain is always, like, better. I feel like terrain is just really, probably more so important than what bastion you get. Because if you don't need to, like, bridge over, you don't need to dig, you can just sprint and jump to get there. It just saves so much time. It's crazy. In terms of the fort, dynamic is really good. I feel like the next world record is gonna be either 5RD and dynamic, just because it is always inherently faster than playing a spawner. You never know though. There's so many fast runs that just use a spawner. Like, I guess probably not the best examples. That being like, what am I talking about? What I'm saying is that saying spawner, because it is correct, but saying it's faster, I guess is a bold prediction when you consider that most of the top runs just play a spawner. Now, that's pretty much what I think will happen. Ideally, there's not a looting sword world record for a while. I feel like looting sword is just one of those strats which is so good it's kind of lame. And I guess 6 for 6 as well. I mean, you have to admit it's good, and it will happen in really fast runs, but it is kind of lame, you know? Because then it just allows for, a person can play slower and get a looting sword or 6 for 6. May or may not have happened in my PB. That being, like, good blaze rates. I went, like, 6 for 8. And just get a good run for it. When it could have been played much faster with the same luck and have been insane. Which is a sentiment I guess people know. Like, I've seen people complain about other people who get, like, a really insane seed on a fast run, and they play it, like, slightly unoptimally, and people just, like, crap on them for that, which I don't really like that sentiment. But, yeah. I honestly hope there won't be a world record with, a looting sword or a stronghold blind. 6 for 6 is fine, now that I come to think about it. It's the game we play, something can happen, and, who knows. But I feel like looting sword is kinda meh. And I feel like a stronghold blind is kinda meh, even though it is something that can happen. In terms of... yeah, how much time is it? This is about 40 minutes. I'm gonna be honest, I'm surprised I even got into the second run on this. I thought I was gonna be talking for like, maybe less than 30, maybe even 20 minutes, but no. Talking a lot, apparently. So I'm gonna just recap all my points. In conclusion, multi-instancing is gonna be insane. The next world record is gonna be set by a multi-instancer. It's probably not possible to get the world record with, single instance, which pains me. Ideally, there's something in the future that's done about hardware split, but I'm not smart enough to think of a potential solution for that. Buried treasure is still good, and we might see ruined portals. I don't think we're gonna see blacksmiths. I just don't think they are good enough, but they're not consistently good enough. They will let you down more than they help you in terms of the ideal loot you want, because more often than not, you do not get even close to 10 obsidian. You get, like, on average 2 per chest. If you've played Super Flat RSG, you will know, with, like, the 2 nether enters per hour you get, that blacksmiths are not reliable. So, in terms of the nether, I feel like manhunt housing is just the answer for what to use next. Maybe Staples triple, maybe treasure, and then honestly spawner is still good enough ideally, but dynamic or 5RD in a Soul Save Valley. I don't even know if people do that anymore. Either of those could and would work. Now, in terms of the post blind, 20 obby is still good. 10 obby could be insane. Like we've seen, what top run uses? It was Meme's top run that uses 10 obsidian, and you just take a dolphin to the stronghold. Obviously, if you hit the blind, it can never be bad. If you hit like less than 300 ocean and you get a dolphin, it'll never be a bad split. But then again, 20 obsidian is kind of the meta right now. You get out of the nether, you measure, you get back in, and you just go. And it's just really insane, especially because you're able to get there, usually in 2 to 3 pearls, I think. Maybe more, if it's pretty far distance. In terms of the end fight, I feel like ideally we get a world record with 0, because that would be so cool. But I think in 2 years, the world record run's going to go something like this. It's going to go mapless enter, and then manhunt housing bastion, and it's going to be a sub 5 blind into insane terrain to second portal, and then they hit the 0 on the mid 6 end enter. Pretty much Camo's run, I suppose, if Camo hit the 0. Pretty much. Now, yeah, that's pretty much going to do it. That's my thoughts on what will Minecraft speedrunning look like in 2 years, in 2025. Thanks for watching this video. Or if you weren't watching, thanks for listening. And that's going to be it from me. See ya.